Immerse yourself in the ultimate online fantasy world, Vanguard, Saga of Heroes, a realm of freedom and glory where the only limits are your own. Discover the adventure today at joinvanguard.com, available now. This is the One Up Radio Network, and now GFW Radio.
Hello and welcome to the GFW Radio podcast. My voice cracked. I'm going through second puberty because of your...
Hello and welcome.
Hello and welcome to GFW Radio.
Hey, mister, would you like some fries with that?
Pubescent podcast.
This is Jeff Green, the editor-in-chief of Games for Windows Magazine. I am here with the editorial staff of Games for Windows Magazine, who are as follows.
Ryan Scott.
Darren Gladstone.
Sean Elliott. Sean Malloy.
Sean Elliott is that much more manly this week.
Dude, you seriously, I'm going to give you you're like the Michael Winslow of our staff. It's awesome.
Everybody here has a special thing going on this week. Sean's more manly. Darren has a dot on his nose that was bleeding at lunch for like an hour straight. That was awesome.
Sweet.
Bring
And
it to
Ryan
the
had
podcast.
Ryan had a Pop-Tart, except that's gone now.
Aw.
Sean Malloy, what do you have to share this week? Keep it clean.
I got nothing.
You get level 70.
There's my WoW talk.
Level 70.
Level
Okay.
70.
All done.
Woo!
Ding. See you in 2 years.
Okay, so to get right into it this week, we are going to have a very special podcast all about you this week. We have compiled over a bunch of months a lot of questions from you folks listening, and because we're the bastards we are, we never actually answer it. Though there have been some great questions all along, and so we thought, partially because we didn't prepare this week, that we would spend the time answering your questions and hopefully get some good discussion out of that. And if we don't get good discussion, maybe we'll get some good, fart noises and jokes and burps in.
You get one or the other, but not both.
Not both.
Or maybe
No.
Can we try both at the same time?
We could.
You could try.
Yeah. Let's see.
So we're going to get right into it.
Already, we're derailed. Well, Sean, I think you're going to start us off,
I
aren't you?
started off with the Tourette explosion. Like, you can supply the rest.
We'll save that for when Robert is a guest on the show.
Oh.
So, okay, getting right into it first. We said we're going to deal with questions,
Yes.
but we lied just because we're going to deal with some comment that kind of speaks for itself, and we can comment on the comment. But our one of our favorite message board posters, Bowley.
Hi, Bowley.
For the win. That's a great comment.
He, someone asked about, why don't we talk more about live achievements, live anywhere achievements? Because, as we know, Halo 2 for PC will be the first game to officially offer achievement points on live. And delivering, in true form, he came in and suggested, he's like, and we'll just give him the voice. It just reads better that way. Sorry, Bally, maybe you actually sound more like, my favorite achievements are. But, of course, in my world, Bally sounds like, can't wait for those PC achievements. Number 1, managed to install game. Number 2,
points.
updated the latest patch. Number 3, reached the frame rate higher than 20 for 2 full seconds. Number 4, alt-tabbed and resumed successfully. Number 5, no CTD on startup. Number 6, didn't have to reinstall video card drivers. Number 7, the sound worked. So, thanks to the Bowley, those are all worthwhile
They're
achievements.
actually very funny.
Okay, yeah, those were all good. It didn't even. I could have read them in a normal. Reader Bowley says, "I'll be excited when I manage to install a game. I'll be excited when I update to the latest patch." It'd still be we wouldn't be laughing, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
okay. So that out of the way. Anyone else want to add any favorite? What are you hoping to get an achievement for?
Actually, should we open up to, do we actually give a rat's ass about achievement points in PC gaming?
Here's the perfect. Let's just tie it into to one of the main questions. We have 2 chief questions for the day, and this will I'll read it and go right back to you, Darren. So hold that thought. One reader wants to know, Lily Iris. Hey guys, recently I went back and listened to the podcast.
Wow, every one of our readers is a geek.
It's a Lily.
They're never going to write again.
Okay, hold on. We'll switch it to the other voice. Hey guys.
Wait, isn't it a woman?
Isn't it a woman?
Listen to the podcast where you announced that you'd be moving from CGW to Games for Windows. It may be too early for you to answer this question, but maybe after 6 issues under your belt, you could tell us how you think you're doing. Has anything changed in the magazine that you like? Anything that you don't like?
I feel like I'm answering a question from Snuffleupagus.
Yeah, can I propose that in a podcast that we said we're devoting to the reader, we not spend all the time making fun of them?
Okay, I'm just reading it. I told you the option. Okay, you want my straight reading voice?
Yes.
Hey, guys. Recently, I went back and
Thank
listened
you.
to the podcast where you announced that you would be moving from CGW to Games for Windows. Maybe too early for you to answer this question, but maybe after you have another 6 issues under your belt, you could tell us how you think you're doing. Has anything changed in the magazine that you like? Anything you don't like? How's your newsstand presence these days? You guys seem worried that people would think you were selling out. Have you? So then, Darren, back to you in terms of, I was just, the connection, if you're wondering where it is that we just got done, ripping on, or reading one of our readers ripping on Xbox Live achievements or Windows achievements. And so I was just thinking that says something about us. Like, I mean, we have this whole thing to talk about. What is our relationship with Microsoft, and how has it shaped who we are and all this stuff? And I got comments on that too, but go ahead, Darren.
Well, I guess. Well, I mean, it's kind of really three topics really. I mean, individually, like talking about like specifically Xbox achievement points. I mean, really, there's so many different ways you can go. You want to start off with like just the larger picture? Because it seems like
maybe I shanghaied you. You want to talk about what you think of achievements, and I was thinking like saying, well, let it not be the case that like because.
Well, I mean, like we've said this till we're blue in the face a bunch of times. How we are completely independent, and it's kind of refreshing in that Microsoft hasn't like turned the screws on us for like saying giving us crap for anything we say or do.
Right. The fact that we're saying that and reading that should say that like that's one thing that hasn't changed.
Right. I mean, like
just put out there like Microsoft has been so good in that we haven't heard a single thing from them about. Hey, could you change the message? Could you? I mean,
it's been so quiet. It's been
so
scary.
Good, so good.
Yeah. You start getting. Yeah. It's like,
first of all, are they even reading it?
Right.
Second, are they just so mad that they don't even know what to do? Like, we created a monster.
Or it doesn't matter because then when we flip and we say that we like something, it means everyone else that is listening or something's going to say, hey, there's really something. Maybe there's something to take a look at here because these guys aren't bullshit. They're not bullshitters.
I mean, hopefully, I mean, really, we're kidding, but hopefully it's actually that it's the best possible scenario that they're reading it or listening to us hear us being sort of having some dissension and not caring.
Right.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, it's like, hey, what's it going to do?
I always operated under the assumption they wanted us because we were such a vocal, independent voice. And now we're kind of like pushing the brand, but we're also still kind of calling it as we see it all along. We haven't changed anything really.
Because we do love games for Windows. Sorry.
And this is
hang on a second. Let me count the money we just got from saying that.
Another interesting thing is not only that we haven't heard from Microsoft about these sorts of things, but we haven't heard anything from readers. You would think that you take and gamers in general, I think they want to accuse you of bias or being sold out or anything. With for any reason whatsoever, when I would accept letters for EGM or something, part of that's because there's more than one platform, and every other letter is like you're biased against Sony. No, you're biased against Xbox. You're biased against But for us, we didn't get any, and for having readers, some of them for years and years and years, and you do something like that, and you flip it, and there was skepticism beforehand.
Yeah, the hate came before with the Switch,
but then we did it, and no one said, you know what? You assholes are full of shit. This is like a money hat magazine.
Right.
I mean, no one did that.
Right.
So that's pretty cool. I feel really good about that.
Because I think it was pretty cool. Like, we came out swinging. We didn't really, we just got a different coat of paint on some of the stories, but otherwise, we've said the same things. We haven't really changed our tune. And if anything, I mean, I wouldn't say I've gone out of my way to bash Microsoft products extra hard, but I mean, it's not like I've, pulled any punches.
I think I can honestly say that I kind of forget that we're some a quote unquote official magazine. Like, I'm just, because I've been here a long time,
right?
And to me, it's just like the same magazine I've always worked on,
right?
Like every once in a while, I go, oh shit, we have that like official tag, but like I don't even know what that means exactly.
Yeah, a lot of people probably don't want you saying that.
Maybe I'm not supposed to say that.
So it is.
Sean, edit that out.
I mean, I had to.
I know exactly what it means, and I have a vision.
Both prior to the change and post, now. Talking with developers, PR people, and they all say, "So hey, how's it going? How's the transition and stuff?"
Yeah,
and this was one reason why I wanted to bring this up is because it's like it reminds me. I was like, "Oh yeah, we did just do all that."
Totally
change. It's like, I mean, if we were every month fighting like a huge army of people that were saying like, you guys like really messed up. I can't believe you did this. Or on the other hand, like we were hearing, okay, stay on message. You know, you shouldn't. You know, some kind of editorial influence or something.
Yeah.
So it's like that's really awesome. It has. You're Jeff. You're what some people might have assumed would be lip service before the change was that our party line was, hey, we're getting all the benefits of associating ourselves with Microsoft and having like enhanced presence on newsstands, but they're not going to control our content. And it's like, it's what you said and it's what we got. And that's really cool. But it's almost surprising. It was so smooth that you didn't really.
Well, I mean, that's why I felt it, and I think all you guys did too, felt so confident about the change. I mean, when people were ragging on us on the message boards or crying or whatever it was, I never felt any sort of, you know, I was very confident that they were just going to be wrong because, you know.
You had faith in us, Jeff.
I had faith in us. Well, what were we going to do?
Right.
I mean, seriously, if some kind of like hammer came down, I honestly don't think we'd be here.
Right.
I wouldn't be here.
Right.
I would have just said, screw it. Okay, this wasn't the deal I made.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? But, you know, it just I never had any question that it was going to be that way, you know.
Another thing on this subject that I want to say is that I think it's important that we don't fall in the other thing where it's like you're that, you know, I compared it today at lunch to the rich kid at school. And everyone knows that this kid's dad is like a millionaire. So he's like a belligerent ass in class just to prove that
he's
like.
extra thug to prove that
just to prove that he's not, you know, the silver spoon kid. And I don't think, like, because here we are. Someone, I think, selectively quoted us ragging on Vista launch.
Yep.
And the reason I only said I stand by everything we said, except I also, it wasn't quoted. I also said Vista is a no-brainer once DirectX 10 games are out, and that's going to be
we've all said that.
But that was like instead that all we got quoted on was like, hey, it's out, we're not getting it right
the
now.
Story said
it's like give us some DirectX 10 games to play with it, and we're all over it, you know.
Right.
But,
I agree with you.
But like for live achievements, it's like it's not like we got to go and rip on the stuff. It's like I'm just consistent, you know. I thought they were silly on Xbox. I totally appreciate them, and I think I'm totally for it because it's going to make more people pay attention to how often they game on their PC and stuff like that. So I'm all for that. But personally, you gotta. I mean, I don't know. I just it's like.
But that's just the same argument against achievements in general.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Not necessarily against the PC.
Yeah,
it's just achievements in general. It's that Homer Simpson bucks from like. When the episode where they go to Itchy and Scratchy Land and they're like, do you want to buy Itchy and Scratchy dollars? They're twice as fun. And then he goes into the park and it's like, no Itchy and Scratchy dollars accepted here, asshole. And he's like got a whole big fat wad of them.
The only
so it's like that's my point of an achievement. Like, what are you going to do with it?
Well, the only thing, the thing is, actually, I think with achievement points on Xbox Live, like for the console side, I think they're offering up prizes now if you get a certain. So
it's like at the like redemption thing where you play skee ball. You get a Tootsie Roll,
you get a Tootsie
or like
Roll,
a whistle.
One of the like cameo wallpaper.
A squirt gun that's got a leak in it. You get like 2 squirts before you got to refill it.
Yeah, what prizes are they offering?
A bobblehead Jay Allard. I don't know. But actually,
you buy and beat like 70 games and you get a whoopee cushion. With
I think they give out like
a
free download of a game or something, stuff like that, like little things here and there.
A free download of a game now, really?
Well, that's pretty good.
Okay, that's pretty good.
So
like an arcade game. Xbox Live arcade.
I'm not sure of the specifics, but I think it's like probably some like older like classic game or something.
That's still cool though. But then that is something.
But they need to apply
good.
that. They need to apply something like that, an actual use for those achievement points. I mean, I'm with you, Sean. Like, I think it's kind of cool, and it lets you recognize getting a high score, but also being able to apply those points towards something. That's when it's actually going to matter.
What I found in my experience with the achievements was, in a kind of cool way. There were a couple games I played, like Dead Rising and Viva Pinata, that I was playing them differently because I was trying to unlock certain achievements.
That's my issue with it.
But I thought that was kind of cool.
Really? So you're the reason why it's so damn successful.
I admit I'm shallow and I like flashy lights.
I feel like it's like a strange outside influence on game design that those
maybe
things wouldn't be there necessarily.
You're right.
Like, did they put these monkey faces in this simply because I have to find 20 monkey faces for
Yeah, you're right. It is kind of an artificial thing, probably outside what the developers.
Well, they've always
intended.
had, actually,
I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe they
brings
throw
that flag
them
up in my head.
You know what? They've done that in those games in the past before the achievement point system was in place. I mean, they always had like look for the comic book page hidden somewhere on the map, and it would unlock.
Well, what I like about it is that what I liked about it in Dead Rising was
when there's not really.
Well, that's the thing. But
artificially inflates the life of the game.
Yeah, but like, why is that a bad thing?
I don't care.
God.
It's about my feelings. And when I'm playing, I feel like I accomplished something, and I feel like I want to keep looking.
See,
My mom
that's
tells
me.
me special, and
I
now my
have to
game does
admit,
too.
confession. When I was playing Gears of War co-op, my friend, and he was like, he could tell like because you pick up cog tags in that,
Yeah.
and there's a part where like you need the co-op player to turn the flashlight in the area where you can go get it, and I was like, hey, Roy, can you put the and he's just like, no. He's like, 'cause all I do is bitch about it. It's like, okay, so he's like, I was just waiting for him to like, okay, I'll walk you over there with it, and then just rip the flashlight off me so the locusts come down. I mean, not the
He wouldn't do it because he
yeah.
was trying to get you to wean you off the achievement.
Well, because he was just,
right?
or to get me to be consistent. He's like, I don't want you to have that cognitive dissonance. Once you grab that thing, he's like, you preach it. He's like, you ain't getting it.
So basically,
So you went back later with another
It did
friend,
work
right?
because I was like, hey, it's just right there. He's already on the flashlight. I could take 2 steps.
It was-
over.
it was-
Why?
But
Why
I
were you
did feel
thinking-
bad. I did feel
Okay.
stupid afterward. I was like, I don't need that. It's like picking up a penny and you think no one's looking and someone looks. You
got
stand
it.
up with the dirty ass penny in your hand. Some like fools looking at you. You like just drop it back down again.
It also does.
I thought it was a silver dollar.
It pulls me out a bit. Like,
Pulls
because
you
when
out
you
a bit,
see,
yeah.
I'm talking purely Xbox Live here, because
Sure.
obviously haven't played it on the PC. But
Right.
like, when you see that, the Xbox logo pop up in the middle of
Yeah.
your screen that says achievement unlocked, and then
see-
suddenly I'm like, oh,
So it's a total
I'm there-
Pavlovian thing.
I'm their target audience. Every time I get one of those, I go, "Yay!"
Did you want that?
I
though?
want something
it drops me
good.
out of the
Do you want to
game
be
for a
that
second.
shitty chihuahua and Microsoft's the voice in the background going, good boy, good boy.
Hey, I'm the guy who made the
Good boy.
deal with. I'm the guy who made the deal with Microsoft. So maybe so. Good boy, Jeff. You're our official magazine now. Maybe I got an
But it's
achievement
like
for
actually,
that.
it's
For selling out CGW.
actually for your dog to
Actually, I
not,
think
biscuits
one
out of the
flashed up
Kong.
on that hat when you made the deal.
it's that- for your dog to not like crap on the carpet is an achievement. That's like a real achievement that you like doing
30
whatever
minutes
you
without
did.
crapping on the carpet.
Yeah,
That's
I
not
don't
an
know.
achievement.
I liked it in Dead Rising because Dead Rising, I found at times the linear storyline itself would frustrate me, and it would make me want to quit. And then I would go, okay, well instead I'm just gonna like go kill the 20. I'm gonna put funny hats on 20 of the guys and get that achievement.
Do any of you
would
guys
do
play
that
on
otherwise?
multiplayer?
Well, of course I wouldn't do that otherwise. No,
So weird.
Do any of you guys play multiplayer games a lot on Xbox Live?
no.
No.
What if like you get a book, say for example, you just go get any book you want, and then in the back page, there's like a section that says go through the book and circle like
Every
the
other
word,
the.
like circle the word pandemonium like 20 times. And then you get an achievement for that, or like go and find paragraphs that have fewer than 50 words.
I'll give you a good example. There's a young kids series or tween books called Artemis Fowl. I don't know if you've heard of this series. It's like
Sounds fecal.
no, it's a good series by this Irish writer, and it got popular because of Harry Potter, but it's totally not Harry Potter. Anyway, it's about this 12-year-old criminal mastermind, and it's a pretty great series. But at the bottom of each book, he has a code that goes out throughout the entire book,
Tells
length
you
of the
to
book.
drink
It
Ovaltine.
starts from the cover, and it goes all the way to the back. Yeah, it's basically buy more, buy more Artemis Fowl books. But
Buy the cereal.
but the code is there at the bottom, and when I had pneumonia, I actually spent one day cracking that whole code. So
Wow.
see, I
When
am
you
that
had
guy.
pneumonia.
Boy, Jeff,
Gee, Jeffrey, did you really crack the code and not
I
this
did,
foul?
and I only cheated on the internet
85.
twice.
Well, that's
I only
cracking
got
the code's better than.
Boy,
Wait. You
But
went on the
20
internet.
wait.
crap.
Well,
You
hang
went on
on
the
a second.
internet to get some hints?
Is there an
Only
Artemis
once.
Fowl? Is there an Artemis Fowl wiki for the cipher?
Like the
There
Troll Book
probably
Club, trollbookclub.com or whatever they got. That's what it was when I was
Scholastic reader.
Scholastic,
Oh,
yeah.
Tread carefully, my friend. I
So
used to
yeah,
work
so
there.
the answer is
Garfield
yes. If there was a fun thing to do in a book, I would do it. See,
You
because
really
I did do it.
You really were sick, Jeff.
It was my fever. I
Okay,
don't know. It's
so-
what? Am I the only defender of Xbox Live achievements in this podcast?
Sean, what's going
I'm
on?
the
He
only
likes
sucker.
No, I'm torn, psychologically torn.
I hear
It's
that
an
they're
issue.
artificial, but I guess it just doesn't bother me.
slap
It
your
doesn't.
own hand whenever
It
you
bothers
start
because
going
I do.
for it.
I'm like a completist.
Uh-huh.
So if I don't get them, it does rub me the wrong way.
Oh, it
so.
bothers you
Oh.
if you don't get them all.
Right. So that's why when I have to get the stuff that I don't
So-
think
so it
would
caters-
be there.
so
So
basically-
you resent
Otherwise,
them. You resent the
I do resent
achievements.
them.
So basically, anyone that suffers from OCD should not bother playing
Yeah,
any
that's me.
Xbox 360
don't
games.
touch it.
So if you beat the game,
I liked Prey because
Uh-huh.
it would give you an achievement for beating a level. Which
Right.
is, of course, I'm going to do that anyway.
Okay.
Those are good achievements.
But okay, let's say you beat a game 100%, the actual real game, and didn't get any achievements. Would the completist in you feel like you completed and beat the game, Or
That's like I'm highlighting like the analogy to the book. I'm like trying to underscore this fundamental disparity between games and other media. Like same thing if you're in the theater and you're like a thing flashes on the screen. You've successfully watched 20 minutes of I mean, you're like,
awesome.
I don't care because I'm not here to prove that I could sit through this piece of shit. I'm here
Unless it's a really shitty movie.
Yeah,
that'd
to
be a
respond
fucking
to it, respond to the story. Look at the performances, all the various reasons you look at whatever the media is.
I'll tell you, I would
and
like an
gaming.
achievement.
It's like I mean, that says that one of the key things, one of the key like measures of success of a game is like feeling like you accomplished something. And like, I guess it's not good enough. The story, like, it's not that the narrative is like, you really did something. We're communicating that you caused some great change in the world, but like, it's like break out that little. You finished the level. You get 5 points.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, like I said, I could really care less about the points, and as long as like if the points actually had some kind of like use, like some real application. Otherwise, just it's like give me a freaking cookie. I don't give a crap. It means just about as much.
That's true.
I would like achievements though for sitting through a movie though, because I sat through 2 this
It's coming
weekend,
up.
and both times were terrible experiences, and I'm just like, why the fuck do I go to the movies anymore?
Which movie?
It's
Which
like I would like. No, the movies were fine, but I would like a 10-point achievement for not breaking the skull of the guy in front of me who keeps talking to his girlfriend. I'd like another 5 points for the guy not chewing popcorn in my fucking ear behind me,
Or buying your own popcorn and coming back to your seat and having the first word out of your mouth not be about how overpriced the popcorn was.
Yeah, the $5 popcorn. Yeah, I
15
saw
points for
Children of Men and the couple in front of me. The guy, it was the guy with his wife who felt the need to like explain every scene as it was going. He just walked through the door. Really? Did he? You're kidding.
Actually,
That's Michael Caine. Oh, is it?
One of my ex-girlfriends'
Shut up!
mother went to a movie with us, and she was exactly like that. Where like they think that they can like influence the outcome of the movie as if it hadn't already been
Yeah.
scripted and recorded in advance.
Yeah.
don't go in
And
that
it's like
door.
difficult when it's like normally if I hear someone like that in the theater, it's like, oh God, this like moron. But it was like the girlfriend's mom, so it was like you just kind of had to sit there, and it'd be, exactly what you're saying, But yeah, anyway,
Yeah.
I get a point if I can bring
Movies
the
today.
discussion back to gaming.
Movie kids today.
Actually, if we could somehow get some achievement points for holding the popcorn bag trick.
Okay.
We're not dealing with
Come on,
that.
I had to do it. Sorry.
Okay, so back to the subject. We got
Yeah.
more. We got plenty more reader questions.
We do. Are we done with this question?
I think we're done.
think so.
The question.
I think we're
had to
happy.
do
Are we
with,
all happy with the change? Are we happy personally?
We got.
Sure.
We definitely are starting to see more eyes on us.
Well, we get a lot of feedback that people can now find us in the store. That's
Right.
a plus.
So
My mom's happy.
I'd say yeah.
I like the design a lot better. I'm happy
Pretty
with the kind of cleaner, wider space that we have now, which we might have done anyway, but the change over to Games for Windows sort of exacerbated the need to do a redesign.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that was cool.
I'm pleased.
Yeah, if depending on how things had gone, it could have been like a really frustrating time. And the fact, I'd say I'm really happy with the fact that
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a natural evolution. I see like every issue we're doing a lot more, a lot of things better, and it's like we're gaining steam. I think. I think we're definitely like doing a lot of like natural evolution.
Mm-hmm. And we're not done yet.
So let's move it
Okay,
on.
next question.
We got reader Almond wants to know
Almond?
what were the initial feelings when you had to do a podcast, and how do you feel about it now? Any
He is
surprises?
One sexy guy, that almost.
Yeah, Almond. He's got a nice. He's got a bad signature. Never mind. Let's not bring it up.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's part of some
Never mind.
inside
No.
jokes. Their message board.
Right,
It's
yeah.
got to go.
Sure.
So once we're done with this, we're gonna go get rid of it for him.
Right.
Anyway, so Almond
question.
again, outside of the whatever voice that was, wants to know, what our take on podcasting was when we
Fine
started.
question.
Well,
How has it changed? No.
I remember when we did our first one, it was just kind of like, well, we got to do it, I guess. I mean,
Well, it was one of those things that was like imposed upon us.
right.
Like, now your duties also include this. They got this whole podcasting thing now.
Right.
It's crazy internet.
So,
Mine was usual skepticism. Was like, why the hell would anyone want to listen to us
Yeah,
sit around like
that's right.
bullshitting into a microphone?
they
Seriously.
might be wondering that this very second.
Right.
Why the hell am I?
I've learned to love that though. You're gonna enjoy what I say.
Damn it, boy! You're gonna listen to me.
Sit down.
I got a funny voice for you.
Yeah. Just allow me
Yeah,
to
no.
bring out the inner freak.
So I think we didn't want to do it. We kind of resented it because we had a magazine to make. So
Right.
we would drag our asses down here. And I don't know. I personally like it a lot too. I mean, for one thing, it helps us focus during the week. Like now, I definitely think about things and we all do this, I think. Oh, we got to bring that up on the podcast, right?
Yeah.
We'll be talking during the week, and things will come up.
It's an extra space to
Of course, then we come
things.
down here and just like make fun of the French. So
Also,
I think get a little derailed
That was on our
that.
list too.
when
Yeah,
we
that was
started
on
the
there.
whole when we started the whole thing, we also weren't sure. Were we going to need a schedule that we were going to like operate from? How tight was everything going to have to be? Would it
Yeah.
be subjected to editing afterward?
right,
Gonna have to
How
find
is it just
guests
going
every
to work?
week? How's this going to work?
yeah.
Right. And I think what happened is we just like talked and talked. We don't care. We never edit it. We don't care if we say something that sticks. And that seemed like just to set its own rule. But over time, I think that's become like a strength.
Yeah.
I end up liking it. And there's no, I don't know. I mean, compared to like it would be really easy for us to be overly concerned about what's happening on any given minute of airtime.
Yeah, I
And
just
just
can't.
like have it just be duller because of it, just a little more sterile.
I've
Right,
been
I
on
mean,
other podcasts where it gets stopped like mid sentence because somebody blew something, and I just don't want to do it that way. It's just too.
Can't do it.
You know,
Wait,
Find
can we
another
edit that?
editor.
Let's edit that out.
Yeah.
It's like years ago, I used to listen to the Howard Stern show all the time for that exact reason, because it was just kind of like stream of consciousness. They just kept flowing, and then they just
Yeah, I think that's what it is for me too.
And
It's
that's
like
what
all
I-
the radio I like is just like
People
that's
talking.
what the point of it is.
And we
isn't
edit
it?
the
I don't know.
magazine is just like, edit.
Maybe that's it too.
yeah.
We're
So it's like,
reacting.
we don't want to edit anything else. Just come in and like just,
This is refreshing.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
We have no advertisers to offend here on the podcast.
So, Ryan,
and if we did, we defend them.
how,
Right.
Ryan, how has your perspective changed, if it's changed, about podcasting?
We've gotten a lot better. I mean, we used to
Yeah.
have a lot of dead silences and
Mm-hmm.
kind of awkward moments
Mm-hmm.
back when we first started.
I
Now
think
we're
we
kind of in a
tried to be.
groove.
Don't you think we were like more formal? We tried to have a more formal structure at the
Yeah, and
beginning.
then we figured out that didn't work with us.
I kind of am curious to go back to those first ones and listen.
I'm
now.
afraid to.
Oh, I so don't want to do that.
I think they're bad.
Yeah, I would be afraid to. It reminds me of like, I didn't quite have that feeling, but everyone dreads taking like speech class in college. And there's that one fool who gets up there to do a speech and he's kind of like box stepping. You're just like waiting for him to pass out. It was like this whole speech. He's got a 5-minute like how-to speech. And it's like how to like, I got to get specific with this analogy or it's not going to mean anything. How to eat a hot pepper.
Okay.
And his whole speech is about you just drink water after you're done. And then like the one when they open it up to questions after the dude's box stepped for 5 minutes and like almost passed out, someone goes, "Water actually excites the taste buds, dumbass. You want to drink milk." Like his whole speech. This is actually a real story, by the way, from when I was in college.
I was going to say it's
And I was the guy telling him that it was milk he wanted to drink. Sit down, dude. That's the stupidest shit ever.
Oh man.
So anyway, yeah, I kind of felt like it had a little of that vibe going, where we're like, help us out here. Like, can I sit down? Can I sit down? Can I sit down yet?
Yeah.
Let me sit down.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So we like it. We like the podcast.
It's hard. It's the reason we vanish every once in a while is because we record on Mondays, which is like sometimes like the worst possible day if we're shipping a magazine.
Yeah.
So like there's that aspect where the build up to the podcast, at least for me, is like, oh god, I got to do a podcast today. I hate
Right.
this. And then as soon as we get down here, I love it.
It's fun.
Yeah.
But,
But, like,
right,
it's
like
the
last
build-up.
Monday was a perfect example. We were literally shipping the magazine. That means, pages were being FedExed to the printer on that day, and we still had to come down here and do it. And actually, I thought, I was glad we got good feedback on the last podcast because I thought it was really bad because I was so tense. I know Sean was really tense, But
Always
actually,
tense.
that fueled the special hate issue of the podcast.
Yeah.
It was fuel.
It was
All of my
fantastic.
rage against
That's
the Sierra games was basically because we were shipping.
I think
We actually
that
love you guys, but we
Yeah.
that positive feedback I think helps us. Like, I don't know if it doesn't actually help us get better. I have no idea, but like it helps us get a little more excited about it, though.
Yeah, well,
the fact
definitely.
that we now know that there's actually people that profess to enjoy listening to it are looking forward to the next one, whether or not.
Don't let it go to your head, Sean.
No, I'm not saying that. I said rather than the fact that we know it's good, I'm not saying anything like that. It could be total shit. But the fact that there's people that profess, those were my
Okay,
words.
profess.
Rewind the tape.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's edit that.
I hear you. I hear you.
Then underscore. Like, I think that's cool. I mean, I think it makes us more like excited to go do it when we know like this is just like one more of our duties of
Well, yeah.
things that we do.
Yeah.
It's
All we
like-
heard is, God, you guys suck. Why are you even bothering? I don't think
We
this
would probably
be
quit.
So
and
enjoyable.
we've got all these people, which is really makes me happy. This is shout
Yeah,
out
we were
time.
talking about this
Promised to give Trin and some of the other people on the Neo Gaming Age forums a shout out because usually it's a big pool of sharks over there. They've been really kind to us, really cool. And all these other people that we get like on our forums and elsewhere, just that say like they don't they're not PC gamers. They don't play PC games, but like we're one of their podcasts that they listen to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty cool because I can imagine it would be like the last thing I would want to like hear about if I wasn't a PC gamer. It's like, do you want to hey, there's a rad Model Railroad podcast on. I listen. It comes out every Thursday. They got
sure there
HO
is one.
scale.
They're talking about some Lionel trains, man. I tell you.
The best way to flock a fake tree when you're using 144 scale, 140 something.
You know what? You actually know a little bit more.
Yeah, that's all.
Guys, this is my second
Flock of a
favorite
fake tree,
podcast,
everybody.
Model Trains. Actually, I didn't get caught there. It's not Model Trains, but I do. I've been getting into collecting like die-cast airplanes from World War II.
Yeah,
cool
they've been
collection.
proliferating on your desk there.
They
I
have.
noticed
They
that.
usually been
Very
going
quietly.
home to my nerd display case.
You should get
Everyone's
one of
like, that guy talks about nerds. This is like an old man thing. It's like dignified. Like, let's go over to Grandpa's. He's got those cool planes in the case. They'll beat your ass if you touch them. So it's one of those things. You get older, you're like, hey, I got something to... Because I don't waste my money on anything. It's like it's just all been going to saving. I'm like, hey, I need something to buy.
Don't you buy comics every week?
I'm totally... ask Darren, how many...
Yes, like he's very select.
How many a week? Like one or two?
He buys like one or
Oh,
two.
really?
And
Yeah,
how
okay,
many...
careful.
Some weeks I go and I'm like, fuck this. And there's nothing there I want.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jeff.
I
Jeff
might-
didn't want any more F-bombs
No,
except
no.
when we
I
needed
just
them.
wanted
But we
us to-
needed one right there.
I think
actu-
I dropped the F-bomb earlier.
I'm actually actually dropping the habit. I'm actually officially
Oh, a couple.
going.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I wasn't gonna drop
Counting.
the F-bomb. But sometimes when I see the comics there, that's why.
I'm okay with some profanity. I just didn't want us to overdo it.
Yeah, it's all natural.
So wait, how much are you? What minor divergence? How much are you spending on comics these days, Darren?
Okay,
a week.
Yeah, I'm probably the worst offender because I just soak up graphic novels and stuff. I don't read as nearly as much as Scooter used to, probably, but
Yeah.
I would say I spend probably $10 to $15 a week.
All right, that's not that bad.
But it adds up. You think over a
It
month.
does add up.
And
But I was probably more
You
at
enjoy
like the $20, $25 at the point where I quit.
That
A
doesn't
week.
make any sense, though. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
there are never that many good ones. That's like,
I know. That's why I had to quit.
47 shows a week, and then someone's
actually,
like,
something
dude,
It's
else.
because I got completely sucked into it in every way. Like,
but how
I
do you
would-
get sucked
the
into
crossover,
trash?
the crossovers.
yeah, exactly. Because I'd be reading Batman, and then it'd be like continued in next week's Robin.
But if it
totally
sucked in the
fuck.
beginning,
Now I got to
you don't do that
read
in the video
Robin.
game.
Nightfall, right?
It's the achievements thing. It's the same thing.
No, seriously, like,
You don't do that in a video game.
They pull that all the freaking time in the comic world.
I would feel like I was missing a plot thread if I didn't go read Robin then. You know?
But you should, like me, and like, dude, the plot sucks, so I don't care. Like, the last
I
thing I want to
couldn't
do is
help
try
it.
to get more of it.
I couldn't help it, but
You're an
that's why I
optimist. You're like,
quit.
maybe it'll get better.
Maybe
than
it'll
Robin.
be awesome.
And Jeff, now that I'm thinking about it, like, so when you were spending $25 a week or whatever it was,
Yeah.
how long? Like, was it 5-10 years ago?
Not 10. It was more like 5. 5 years ago, I quit.
Comic prices have gone up in that time, so I'm only
Yeah,
imagining
now
how
they're
much
like
you how many.
$4 each.
I can imagine how many
What?
stacks of comics you were walking out. Like,
Yeah, think of that. Like, even me,
I had wait. It was ridiculous.
you know, it's like, I mean, in my era, like, I was, when I started buying them, they were like 50, and I remember the jump when they went to 75 cents, and that was pretty big for me. You obviously remember a little earlier than that, but
They were
just
a
like-
penny.
but yeah, then now that they're $4, I know, like, inflation and all, it's like, well, you could have bought a whole lot more for your 75 cents back then. But, like, still, I'm just saying. There's only, like, that's why there's probably, like, and I don't like the superhero stuff so much. So
Yeah.
there's, like,
Right.
$4 a month that I'll read.
Well, I did that when I was a
99%
kid,
of it.
and then I quit. And then in the 80s, I came back and did the whole. I got back into it because of Watchmen, and then I was only buying like, oh God, what was
the Vertigo stuff.
the Peter Baggy stuff, the
Hate.
Hate,
Yeah.
and things like that.
Those are good.
And I was like, oh, I'm only reading this stuff, not that superhero stuff. But then slowly,
Going into the
I
store.
got hardcore into.
Slowly, I turned.
I hear Flash has a good writer again.
Could Guy Gardner really dominate over the Green Lantern?
Oh man,
Yeah,
this whole
exactly.
Always
podcast could
con
quickly
on
evolve
line.
into that.
I know, we got to get off the comics track.
Okay.
Actually,
yeah.
here's
That
how,
is some
I was about to
serious-
add
actually,
Never mind.
Actually,
Okay.
watch how I pull it back.
Yeah.
So, like, this rule for comics I use for games and just about any other obsession I have in life. I have a stack, and if the stack gets above a certain, it's like a watermark.
Yeah.
A water table mark. And if that stack of comics is too high, I'm not buying anymore.
This is why
yeah,
I
you are
quit.
good about that. You throw them away.
That's
too.
why I quit, was because the unread comics were on my nightstand, and the pile kept getting higher and higher and higher.
Right.
And I was still buying new ones every week because I felt like can't miss a week.
Yeah.
What if Robin sells out? so the pile kept growing, and then finally I was like, screw, I'm done.
Right.
Okay.
But I was doing the same thing with games too, and like because I have like, there's so many games to just try to sift through. So after all, I'm just like, fuck it, this one's just going.
Yeah.
And on that note, the GFW players are going to take a quick
What was the
break.
question?
There was no question. I was trying to ease us in, not so
okay.
slyly into our break.
Really?
We have a break?
Oh, yeah. Let's do that.
Okay, we'll have a break.
I ruined it. Sorry.
I figure, yeah, we got to do it.
We deserve a break today.
Okay, we'll be back.
Attention, smartasses and dumbasses. We'll rejoin you after the break.
Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. But as long as you're here, let me tell you about EGM Live, the weekly podcast from the editors of Electronic Gaming Monthly, along with the wonderful sounds of... EGM Live comes action-packed with special guests, late-breaking news, fanboy-baiting commentary, behind-the-scenes tales of office tomfoolery, and trivia contests with fantabulous prizes. Download it now at egmlive.oneup.com or subscribe to it through iTunes.
EGM Live is part of the 1UP Radio Network, taped in the Ziff Davis offices in San Francisco. It is not actually live, and contest prizes are not guaranteed to be fantabulous.
Hi, we're back.
Hello.
Do we have another question?
We do. This is a long one, so if anyone would volunteer to read it, that's cool, or I can read it.
You're doing
It's
a
long.
fine job.
It's
your
long,
nerd
but
voice
it's
is-
good. It comes to a good point. So,
Okay.
okay. I'm just going to see if I need to read the first paragraph.
You have some
Pregnant pause.
online
Oh.
editing there?
You know, actually, there was one thing.
Yeah, I'm just going to edit as I read it. Go ahead, Derek.
I'm just filling in a blank from the last reader question.
Yeah.
They were asking about. Okay, we were talking about how the Gaming Age forums were picking up on our stuff, and a lot of people who weren't even into PC games or checking our podcast. Another added bonus, which I personally find really rewarding, is that people are actually saying, you know what, I want to go out and check out the magazine now because of it, even though I don't play PC games and stuff like that. It's and in some small way, I feel like, you know what, then I'm doing my job. If we're getting people excited about PC games and they never even thought about it before, then we're doing something right.
Goddamn right.
That's a good
Amen.
one.
And there you go. Okay, sorry. So you were caught up.
That's how I ended up with the model railroads I got. That's funny. Okay, so here we go. Reader AJ Guy 711 says, "Now I know there are always people on the cutting edge who have the newest hardware at all times to run games such as Crysis and Unreal Tournament 3. But it seemed to me that the majority of users will not have a machine powerful enough to run these games. At some point they will, and maybe they'll buy these games, albeit from a bargain bin, instead of getting it for $50 on day one. Now to my point. Is it really worth it to develop for the bleeding edge? It seems to me that companies that do are cutting out potential customers. It is not unlike the way people feel when a console game launches doomed to die. Some feel about Resistance on PS3. I look at what happened when both EverQuest 2 and World of Warcraft launched at nearly the same time, and I wonder if part of WoW's success is attributed to the fact that it can run on almost any PC from the last 4 years. Okay, now here's where I thought it gets cool. I mean, I understand there's pressure, especially now, for PC to look better than consoles. However, it seems at this time, with advances such as DX10 and Vista, the PC console battle is being unnaturally forced ahead, whereas in the past it seemed that PC would just naturally catch up. So are we doomed to spending another $600 a year on new graphics cards, or do you think after seeing possible diminished returns on such bleeding-edge games that developers will go a bit more low-tech? So, long question, but I think it was the last paragraph that I thought was cool. I mean, just especially the whole, I mean, in relation to console stuff.
Yeah.
In relation to keeping up with console, and then also about actually sort of shying away from AAA, like, bleeding-edge tech-based games. And that, like, I'll just offer an answer, is like now we're seeing it's like every day now we see some new group or some new outlet where you're able to get games that don't care or don't pretend to be cutting edge in terms of technology.
Well,
They're simply about. So between, you know, the ubiquitous live arcade to stuff available on Steam to the Gamecock guys that just announced their initiative, you know.
Well, I think there's, you know, it's kind of funny now that I think about it, and this is in no way a rah-rah Microsoft sort of comment, but there are, in a way, they're kind of working on both ends of the spectrum. So you have obviously DX10 pushing the bleeding edge stuff, right? There's, you know, gotta get the high end processors, the graphics cards, and whatnot. And then you have Game Studio Express just having people. They're giving a free design tool. So if anyone wants to make a game, they can do it for free, and they have a you know a decent programming tool to actually create a free game online right now. So I mean I think they're trying to help foster the market in some way. I mean, I totally want to see more people getting into games. And me personally, I follow the indie games and freeware and shareware a lot closer than I do some of the big budget titles these days. And I think that's honestly, that's what I think a lot of the future of PC gaming can be, is that everyone has a chance to make a good, a quick, dirty little game or whatever.
The other thing is just dead on, is that few developers or few publishers have are in a position to finance a PC only AAA game with a multi-million-dollar development budget. And like I say, like right about now, it's just THQ is one of the few ones doing it. You know,
Blizzard, of course,
and Blizzard, and because I mean, I would say Valve as well, but I mean, obviously they're all talk about going multi-plat. It hasn't really materialized outside of Xbox. I mean, Half-Life 2 for Xbox One,
right now,
but all their plans are
right.
Definitely appreciate that that consoles their lead. I mean, that PC is their leading platform.
Right.
But in terms of like, I said THQ because Company Heroes, straight PC, Supreme Commander, straight PC, Stalker,
Titan Quest?
In Titan Quest, yeah. I mean, they're one of the few publishers that said like, okay, we're going to recoup some of the cost for these with the European market because we definitely, and we just did a story about that, not to go back and pimp it so much, but I think it's really interesting that we can't, and guys like who wrote that, AJ, I think would appreciate it because it says that like, yeah, you're right that it is diminishing returns to such an extent that you need world markets in order to support and make possible, that level of investment in a PC only game.
And I think he was dead right. I mean, maybe you all agree this, and it's not really an arguable point, but the difference in the success between WoW and EQ2. I mean, obviously one game was way better than the other, frankly.
Right.
But still, that the notion of the accessibility was key. I mean, and because it wasn't just any PC from the last 4 years, it was the Mac as well.
Right. I forget who I was talking to about this recently, but I think, Vanguard suffers from a lot of the same problems.
Well, right. I mean, I've been reading forum posts about people, even with great systems having to run Vanguard at the absolutely dumbest settings.
Yeah.
And how frustrating and discouraging would that be if you have a fairly recent PC?
Right.
I mostly play World of Warcraft on my laptop, which is nowhere near my desktop.
Right.
And it runs just fine.
And the cool thing, I think we're all kind of saying it is like the art style is really what makes it apart.
Well, yeah,
and it totally proves
art
it.
Direction is
like you can run it at like 800 by 600 or like at some ridiculous jacket up to 2560 by 1600, and it's going to look beautiful either way.
Yeah, I put that 8800 in my machine finally. The smaller one. We'll go ahead and not make that joke again this week. But I put the smaller one in the box, and seriously, WoW looks like a different game to me now. It's kind of blowing me away. Because I could jack it up so high, I'm like, oh my god, there's like all these textures on the creatures that I never saw before. Because I was always playing it on my laptop too. So, but the fact that it dumped,
you gotta have something to do when you're fighting in that damn game.
Looking at the textures,
yeah,
cool textures. Click, 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 click.
One.
I saw Ryan playing it, and I was like, hit him with your -17 gun, Ryan. Keep hitting him with that -17 gun. Just like. Whenever you hit,
you're the sole hater left. Yeah. We'll get you one day.
I know, I'm the last one. Yeah.
He's the holdout.
On that note, too, the other thing is that, like, so I was saying that you have a company like THQ that's doing PC only. Everyone else is recouping their costs by spreading it across all the platforms. I mean, more and more. It's like even people, even between PS3 and 360, the big thing is, well, what is that exactly is differentiating the two? What happens when Metal Gear is available on 360? What happens when if Final Fantasy is available on it? Grand Theft Auto is already available now. But for us, it's like most of the cases, it's actually all three.
Do you know who we never hear from anymore? Activision.
Not so
Where
much.
the hell did they go on the PC?
Actually,
gone.
They went to with id stuff. So you got to give props for Quake Wars.
You're right. Sorry,
that's where they went.
Id, right? Our cover story. But other than id,
here's part of what I was getting at.
Call of Duty, for example,
because consoles hardware has established this bar where you can do these things, and he's asking, PC traditionally just catches up at its own pace and then like overlaps it, but now it's happening sooner than it's happened before. It's like. PS3 is just out.
Do you think that's right?
I think it's right. Like I said, according to devs, the 8800 slaughters like the graphics capabilities of the PS3. In strict like geek terms, that's what I've.
Well, absolutely. I mean, strictly like the PS3, like in the dev units they used to show off.
Right.
It was basically like a SLI system from like last year.
And we will not see. And as soon as Crisis comes out is when we will see where we've actually like overlapped them to some extent. But here's the point I was making, though, is that because everyone's developing for all three of these, what happens when we're sitting here with the 8800 and all this power that goes above and beyond there, but how many of these developers or publishers are going to pressure the developers to make PC versions that take advantage of it? We'll be right back to where we were before the current gen, formerly the next gen consoles came out, when everything were like, dude, it looks like a PS2 game. Like I know my 7900 could do a hell of a lot more than that. Why does whatever the game may be? It was King Kong was that way. It looked
Okay.
like the Xbox One game.
Well, I think
So
Okay.
we're gonna
Yeah, I see what
will
you're
we be
saying.
right back at that point? How many people are going to be, aside from the Crytek's? I
Well,
mean, how
you
many
see-
aside from Crytek? Who is going to be saying?
In a way, it's almost the same argument you were making about the PhysX card.
Well, no, actually, I think in this case, Microsoft's hedging its bets on the fact that everyone who buys a new PC is going to have Vista installed on their system, and that means DX10's in there. It's also going to mean that they're going to have a min spec machine, a min spec hardware inside that same machine where they can play DirectX 10 games out of the box. I think basically the whole idea is it's not so much going to like, oh my god, where are all these hardcore gamers going to come from? It's like anyone who buys a new computer is going to have this in there. Because just even to run Vista like on its main interface,
It needs
it needs DirectX just for the main interface.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it requires a certain level of graphics card, and it creates a base level.
That's great.
What
That's
do you
really-
think the minimum RAM level is going to be now?
You know what? I think
Like for a gamer.
2 gigs.
2 gigs.
Yeah.
I'd say it's a fair
It's definitely time to-
assessment. But you
I've
know what?
got
The thing is,
one.
the thing is, gigs. RAM is
RAM is
relatively
cheap.
so you can
Yeah.
get. But the point is, like, to answer your question, I mean, I see where you're trying to go with that. Like, are they looking for an audience that isn't there? I think what they're hoping is that the audience is just going to find itself, hopefully. But basically, if like imagine you buy a computer, my mom buys a computer from Dell, and Johnny wants to play a game on that computer.
Who's
and
Johnny?
I'm inventing. He's my son. He's gonna come. So fine. Anyway, so yes, okay, Johnny.
That was an awkward moment.
Yeah, never mind.
We got to turn.
I'm
for
on
that.
a roll, people.
Let's spread
Come
the word.
on.
Hey, since
Wait, let him finish
Hey,
his
let me
point. I'm
finish my
sorry.
thought, dude.
well, Waja,
interrupted
that's a time to tell people what Waja is. Anyway,
No. Anyway, so forget it. The
that
whole
was Waja.
the whole point is you get a computer that you just want to play a game and you want to drop a game in and it'll work, as opposed to like this whole thing in the past is, oh crap, now is this game gonna am I gonna be able to play it at all?
Right.
Mhm.
It's not gonna be like the old game. Hopefully, it won't be that game in the past where you're like looking at the box and going, oh crap, I need to go out and buy a new graphics card now, or I have to buy.
No, I totally behind that. I don't think that they're assuming there won't be an audience, but I'm just saying that I think that like for a great many publishers, it's not gonna. They're not going when they do their internal assessment. They're going to say, hey, it's not really worth it to pump a bunch of extra money because it looks great as it is. Like the whatever the mark that we set for it to meet on the PS3 and 360, they're going to be like, okay, that's cool. We hit that mark. You don't need to go above and beyond it when you do a PC version,
Right.
And that's what I'm worried about.
But that
And
would
it's like,
probably
because
just apply.
because that's been what drives PC, at least to a market like me, is you're like, dude, that looks so much better. You can't compete
Right.
with these.
But
And now
certain
that we got
PC publishers are
HDTVs,
always going to do that, right? Though, I mean, certain PC developers are always going to be the ones who want to push it.
right.
So those games will be there for guys like you.
That's what I hope. But I'm saying there are far fewer like PC only, at least on the cutting edge, on the graphics cutting edge.
Yeah.
Right now, it seems like there are fewer because id and stuff. They're obviously announced that their next big game is going to be multi-platform.
Right. But you know that they'll push it on the PC, though.
Right,
It's
they
those
will.
guys.
I hope so.
Carmack has more or less said that like they're furthest along with the PC version because it's just easier to code for, as opposed to like, let's say you build a level for a 360 and you try running it and you're like, oh crap, the frame rates are shit and the textures are not popping like they should or whatever. And Ryan's actually asleep. That's awesome. Someone poke Ryan.
Okay,
away.
so
Wow.
anyone else want to
You better change the topic.
want to add in on that?
No.
I think it's great.
Pay attention, son.
Okay.
Go back to sleep, Ryan.
So the last thing on our agenda is to come back. This is now the third time we're talking about this, but it
Yeah.
was like it proved super popular and whatever. Nerds though.
The nerds.
We had the reader, the high school girl, and she actually posted again to like assure us that she really was is a high school girl, and she was saying that she loved nerds, but
Older nerds.
I don't know. Let's not even go
I'm
sorry.
sorry. That's
Please.
You're making me feel icky.
That's why.
that out too.
But also, we were like, well, what is a nerd anyway? What is she talking about? Do nerds even exist? And so we got just page after page of people talking about, hey, here's my experience. A lot of kids that had just gotten out of high school, some that are still in high school, and they felt, a few of them were angry that they had spent so much time to clack and click away on the message board and tell us what nerds were, that they still existed, and we just kind of
We ignored
blew
them.
over them so I could go on a diatribe about poop sockers and
And Japan.
Asperger's and Yeah,
and anime.
Anime guys.
And otakus and other
I
kin.
prefer you would
Other
call me
kin.
young master and serve me tea. I'm going to be watching the rest of Yu Yu Hakusho at the moment.
We're gonna do it again.
Yeah,
right, here we go.
yeah.
Right back at it.
We're going to get back into that territory. So, start off, we got another high school girl wanted to chime in. And she says, this is NL Cielo. She says, as a bona fide high school girl, I have to say, I'd love to know what Jenna is smoking. Nerds aren't at all attractive, at least from my perspective. As soon as they find out that, yes, I do love me some Baldur's Gate, video games, and all of nerddom to find me. Hi, how do you feel about Final Fantasy? Want to join my guild? Hi, why don't you talk to me? I think she's using the nerd voice here. It's not that I'm like just
actually in all
completely
caps.
lost my shit and like I randomly lapse into it anytime I want.
No, that's
So
fine.
if you look at you guys
Type
gather
in all
around,
It's like all caps. Okay,
it's
gather
all
around
capped
the-
out.
Okay.
It's all like spelled in leet speak. So she says, shockingly, I happen to have a life outside video games. I don't even play WoW, mainly because of this type of social interaction. High school is pretty much the same. We make fun of D&Ders, people that walk around with strategy guides, but at the same time, we all play video games to some extent. Nearly everyone plays The Sims, wants or is addicted to their boyfriend or brother's Wii, and I've gotten plenty of oohs and ahs over my DS Lite, and I wasn't even playing Nintendogs. And yes, of course, there are outliers. I can think of a few anime-watching, Stargate-loving, PS3 licking guys out there who are really great to hang out with, and that's because video games don't define them, and they know what video games don't define, and they know that video games don't define me. Key point: nerds still suck.
That's a great letter.
Helpful
It
tip:
is.
get a life, you'll be hotter.
Wow.
Nice. And there's,
Great letter.
And there's your message point. There's your talking points.
Yeah. So let's just keep going. Nito Jenkins, who's kind of like he writes for us, he's done illustrations for us, so he's on the inside. He's the ubiquitous friend I always talk about. Me and my friend were making some videos online. Me and my friend were playing Battlefield. So
My mom said the devil is.
So
in
he's
the-
actually a real friend.
He's actually a real
Wow.
dude. So he says
Revelation.
that
yeah.
he went to an inner city high school where cliques were pretty loose and most people generally got along, but there were a few true champions that really set themselves apart from the pack in nerdery. Eventually, this simple equation was created to identify the nerd threat, and it's nerd equals orange camouflage pants. This was done with images.
With images.
Too.
This is actually
So
really good.
I'm just writing out what they were.
No,
So I'm
it-
assuming maybe it's blue camouflage pants too, or pink, or whatever.
Camouflage pants.
Plus cowboy boots, plus Old Spice. And now we'll leave it at that. I've never seen that combo, but it's Minnesota though, so Minneapolis.
Okay.
Maybe it
I
happened.
think it's. I think he's like defining a
Wait, say
specific
that again.
person.
Camouflage pants plus
Orange camouflage pants, cowboy boots, and
And
Old
Old
Spice.
Spice.
Is a nerd.
Huh. That sounds more like pimp.
I know.
Him.
It's interesting though because
Where the
it's
hell
like
you going?
you know, like the silk Dragon Ball shirt. You know,
That's how we rolled in Sherman Oaks.
let's give a moment and visualize the silk Dragon Ball shirt.
I got it. I have it in my head.
or the
wraps around.
Okay.
or the silk Spider-Man shirt.
Yeah, the Spider-Man's
Okay.
pretty sick too.
Okay.
I have it in my
Like,
head.
and then like the pube stash always goes along with that.
Oh, the cheesy, like with the little Cheetos kind of hanging off the pube stash. Oh.
Okay, so going on. Message board member Baron Calamity says
Yep.
that nerds still exist. Mainstream players play games, but nerds get into the tech behind the game. And then so Darren and I are just exposed talking about. Actually, I was just bullshitting my way through it, but we're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
And we are all defining ourselves as gamers too. So we're screwed on Encilio's account and Baron Calamity's.
Yeah, basically outed.
Okay. So he says, he or she is someone more comfortable developing relationships with things than with people.
Uh-oh.
Before computers, it was AV. Before that, it was books. And before that, it was writing. So he's going back to some medieval nerds on this shit.
wow.
Like scribes
No
and stuff,
kidding.
you know?
Candlelight. copying of-
Socrates, nerd.
Old school nerds had taunters.
I've often thought that. I've often thought that. What if I was back in Roman times? I wouldn't have been like a gladiator.
Yeah.
I would have been like a dork back then, doing whatever dorks did back in
You'd be
AD 12.
You'd
I
be
don't
reporting on the orgies or the vomitorium or something like that.
know. Something like that. Yeah, reviewing orgies.
So before this gets out of hand, Baron
4
Calamity
stars.
continues. Nerds generally are the first to interact with things before the general population does, but they develop relationships with those things, whereas the mainstream never does.
Sorry.
Okay.
Thanks for ruining that.
Intimacy issue.
I'm
there.
sorry.
Sorry.
Guys, if I lived in Roman times, I would have been hanging out with Caligula in a two-way mirror, and then they say that they threw the gladiators all the women. Maybe I'd find a way to get the women without being a gladiator.
I'm sorry, Sean.
Sorry, Sean.
You hurt my feelings.
I just watched Rome last night. It was in my head.
Okay, I hear I gotta watch that.
It's
I hear
good.
that too.
That's another version we're not
Yeah,
making.
It's
right now.
another. Yep.
Okay, so EQ, because we're talking about nerds. Like, that's
See?
not a diversion.
Actually, you know what? It's not that far off track, actually.
EQ Addicted Fool writes in to say, I used to think I was the lowest on the nerd chain. I built my own computers, and I would play EverQuest for hours upon hours every day.
And I sound like the Brawny Paper Towel guy.
And I loved my Japanese RPGs. I put a lot of time and money into Magic the Gathering.
That's the manliest nerd I ever heard of.
It really is, yeah.
But when people would point out my flaws, I would not run off and cry like unto a little girl. I would just
Did it say
add.
like unto a little girl?
I'm adding to
Oh, you added that?
Sexing
Okay.
it up here a little
No,
bit.
that was good.
And I would just add and add to that list. But then one day, I met a kid. This kid showed me just how cool I actually was. He was a LARPer, or a live-action role player, if you will. And I happened to watch a session of this so-called LARPing. Big ego boost for me.
Lightning bolt.
Big ego boost for me. And I realized how cool I was because I wasn't running around screaming,
Fireball, lightning bolt.
exactly. And this kid, on top of it, this kid played Yu-Gi-Oh! And he only listened to Japanese music. And the only thing he would talk about was anime. So I called him an idiot one day, and I caught him saying Speed Racer was an anime. Hell, this kid even wore 3 belts to school so he could look like Squall from Final Fantasy VIII. For Halloween, this piece of shit dressed up like a red mage.